Brian Pierce with the Pierce Brothers, and we kind of have a special announcement today. We'll get to that in just a couple of minutes. It's going to be about a new gun. We'll open it up here in just a minute. And just to be clear, recently there was a video that we did on the Ruger Blackhawk 357, the original one, produced from 1955 through 1963. And then again, we followed through all the way through 1973. And that's, of course, an example like this. Some people call them the 3-screw. The early guns with a flat top. We'd encourage you to go back and watch that video for a complete review of it. But that's a very classic gun in its own right. In 1973, Ruger re-engineered the gun so that it could be safely carried with 6 rounds. They made it so that you open the loading gate, the cylinder becomes free, and when you fire, there's a transfer bar visible in the back of the frame that gets basically caught between the hammer and the frame mounted firing pin, I should say, when the trigger's pulled. So therefore it fires. When the trigger goes forward, the transfer bar drops down. This notch in the hammer protects it. The problem was, at that time in 1973, Ruger only made 2 frame sizes, the single 6 and the 44 mag frame size. And the 44 Magnum frame size housed 357, 41 mag, 45 Colt, and 44 Magnum. Later it did, some in 10 mm, 3840, some special editions and so forth, but it was a bigger frame. And so the smaller frame is definitely desirable for appropriate cartridges. And so I'd recommend you go back and watch that video and you'd understand why. But beginning in 2005, Ruger introduced a 50th anniversary of the Blackhawk flat top. They brought back the flat top design again. And if you look here, here's a 50th anniversary model. And here, we're going to play dominoes here. I'll worry about that later. And here's the original Blackhawk 357. They followed it closely. They made the top strap a little thicker. Of course, it's still got the new model action, so it's safe with 6 rounds to be carried. But it was great to have this frame back. Some people call it a Colt single action size frame. That's actually not true. It's about 20 thousandths larger in diameter cylinder, and but it's great to have that gun in back in production. But yeah, that occurred in 2005. Now, what also happened in 2005 was the new Vaquero appeared, which replaced the large frame Vaquero built on the 44 frame. And there's a stainless steel, high polished stainless gun that's an example. So many people are familiar with that. But also in 2000, based on that same, not long after that, Lipsy's began prodding Ruger to make a 50th anniversary frame, or the 357 smaller frame, in 44 special, like this one here. And they also did it in 45 Colt with dual cylinders, 45 ACP. Those were really welcomed by shooters. They still are in high demand. Now let's fast forward a minute, or let's go back a minute. John Taffin, I think he wrote his first articles in the late 60s, but he really came on the scene in the early 80s, 82, 83, 84, right during that era. Began writing for Guns and American Handgunner, and very savvy, very knowledgeable. I got to know John before he actually became really widespread known in the industry. And I'll tell you a funny story. He and I began talking guns one day, and loads and casting bullets and so forth, and John showed up a couple weeks later, and he had a suitcase full. We both talked about our love of the 44 Special. Anyway, he shows up with a suitcase full of 44 Specials, walks in the store I was working in and opened them up, and it's like, wow, that was great, seeing that many 44 Specials at once. So he and I have always shared a love for a good single action cis gun. But John, a little bit of an overview. He's done 10 books. He originally was born and raised in Ohio. And because of Elmer Keith and Elmer Keith's influence, he decided he wanted to move to Idaho. So after getting his degree, I believe at Kent State, he and his wife loaded up the wagon, station wagon with 3 kids, and came to Idaho. He eventually went to Salmon. He landed in Boise, became a school teacher. He, of course, had his degree for that. He came to Idaho and made the 260-mile drive to Salmon, Idaho, and went over and met Elmer Keith. And so his love of six guns was very similar to mine. And he's become a lifelong friend. He and I've hunted together. We've shot a lot of guns together. Any rate, his just a brief update. His health is still, he's doing very well considering everything he's been through. Still got a ways to go, but he's doing very well. I had dinner with him about a week ago, and with the help with Lipsies, he was presented a special gun with serial number JT number 1, and that gun, we're about to announce it here. You can see it's a nice Ruger box. The end label on it is on this gun is serial number JT02, and I've not shot this gun, but it's not been produced before, this particular gun. Now, one thing before I open this up the rest of the way, one of the things that John became famous for in his writings and thousands of articles that he's written was he coined the phrase the perfect Packin Pistol. And you know, that's a really broad subject matter. You know, some people consider the Colt single action tops, others will consider Ruger Blackhawks flat tops similar to this as excellent candidates. Some love Smith & Wesson end frames or K frames. They all fit in that category of the perfect Packin Pistol. So Jason Klossner called me from Lipsies and he said, "Brian, we want to do a special gun in respect and so forth for John and the huge influence that he's had in the industry." And so we talked about it a while, and we came up with a gun that we hope you'll like. It's one that Ruger could do in fairly short order. In other words, it wouldn't take years to do. And it's the medium frame, the 357 frame, with dual cylinders, one in 45 Colt and one in 45 ACP. So no complaints there about the caliber. And it's this particular one's a 5.5-inch stainless steel. Now, what's interesting is it does not have the Ruger logos. These grips or stocks, whichever you prefer to call them, were fit by Bobby Tyler of Tyler Gunworks down in Texas. But he's an authorized Ruger repair station or modification, if you will, custom work and so forth. And the deal was made to outfit all these guns with high-end walnut grips. And he's done a great job. They're oil finished, again, to get that custom look. There's no Ruger medallion there. He did fit them with a little bit of palm swell, and you'll feel that as you handle the gun. And this gun's never been fired. I just opened it from the box. It's fit up nicely. One of the things that jumped out at me right off the bat was that the cylinder has a little bit of beveling on it, which is great when going in and out of a holster. By the way, Barani Leather is doing a special edition holster, and it's based on the Tom 3-persons or the Elmer Keith 120 design, whichever you'd prefer. It's kind of a blend of both of them. And beautiful workmanship that Brandy has done. He's been in business a long time. Every holster is hand fit, hand stitched, custom made, but he's making some great leather for them. So this particular gun, I brought along a few tools. Kind of one of the things I do standard whenever I look at a new 6 gun. I get out my Brownells range rod kit, just check it for dimensions and so forth, and well, let's see how Ruger's quality is. And this just checks and makes sure that every chamber's lined up. And you can see it goes right through, no resistance whatsoever. Next chamber, same thing, perfect. No resistance whatsoever, drops right in. So those chambers, all 6 of them, are dead on. So that's great. That means that it's a great, potentially great shooter. Another thing that I often check right off the bat is, excuse me a minute here while I get organized better. Okay, my guess is, okay, chamber throats, as anybody knows, it's a real 6-gun guy. And YouTube, this is just no modifications, gun, just checking dimensions on it. This would be a normal procedure in cleaning to remove the cylinder. But we're going to check those chamber throats. And I've got here a set of plug gauges that measure within 1,000 increments. And so I chose a 451 to go with, and that is absolutely right there. There's no wiggle room. It's just going in just precisely. So we got a gun with 451 throats. Each one is checking out that way, just to prove that well, just for further proof. There's a 452, tries to start but doesn't go in, and so it's they're probably a 451 5-inch throat. So I've looked this gun over previous. Barrel looks good, the rifling and so forth. Again, this will be what you get in a production gun. Fancy walnut grips, high-end grade wood, no Ruger medallion, so you get that custom look, palm swell, and the serial number on this was JT-0002, second gun made. And these will be available. We will announce that shortly. But you'll be able to put in an order to Ruger. It's probably noteworthy as well that this gun will also be offered in blued finish and in 4 5/8 and 5.5-inch barrel lengths. So again, I don't know that John Taffin fully understands how much of an impact he's had on the firearms industry. How enthusiastic people get about his articles of 6 guns, and he's famous for many of his columns, 6-gunner and so forth that he did. Has a very, very large fan base. It's always hard to see a friend grow older and struggle with health issues in life, but our prayers are with him. So one thing I forgot to mention is that the design of this gun is, and this question is going to come up a lot as people watch this video, is that I recommend them at 23 for loads to handle 23,000 PSI loads. So the 45 Colt in factory persuasion, you go down and buy factory ammunition from Remington or Federal or Winchester, whomever, it's going to run 14,000 or less in PSI. In fact, most of them that I've tested lately are more in the 10 or 11,000. They're very low pressure. So the question comes up, what can hand loaders load this to? And I tell them automatically right off the bat, 23,000. The gun is safe to go more, but that's where I'm going to cut it off for a couple of reasons. But the fact is that the 45 ACP cylinder, of course, that cartridge is loaded to 21,000 PSI, and in plus P persuasion is 23,000. And Ruger says yes to all. Yes, you can shoot them with 23,000 PSI loads, no issues. So they can't tell you it's safe to do that in 45 Colt, but there's no difference. There's a very slight engineer difference in the chamber walls, but it is so minor it's not important. So again, these guns are very safe at 23,000, and at 23,000 you can push 250s grain bullets at 1,100, even 1,200 feet per second. That's a 250 jacketed. That's approaching 44 Magnum performance. I think a better way is to go to a heavier cast bullet, and there again you can go with a 285 RCBS cast bullet or something similar, even 300 grains, but the 285 you can hit those out at 11 or 1150 with no problems. And if you use the old Taylor knockout formula, they're actually more powerful than a 44 mag with a 240 grain jacketed bullet, and yet they don't kick as much. And speaking of kicking, by the way, the Bisley grip frame is very, very comfortable with recoil, and people that shoot them will find that it's a lot less sensitive in how you hold it or how you grip it than the standard single action Army pattern grip frame. With the single action Army, you have to be just right. Everything has to be just right to keep every bullet going the same place. But the Bisley grip frame, kind of based on the old Elmer Keith number 5, although it's bigger, It's very, very forgiving about grip and control, although all that's important for precision shooting, but it's very comfortable for that purpose. So there's some thoughts on that, but let me get my plugs in and we'll shoot this. Again, these are the first shots out of it. I have no idea where it's sighted. This particular load is a 250 grain Hornady XTP, a very accurate bullet with 20 grains of 2400, CCI 300 primer, and again you can carry 6 rounds in these guns. This load's going about 1150 out of most revolvers, so we'll see how it shoots. I have no idea where it's sighted or anything else. Hitting low. Very comfortable. You'd never guess you're shooting a load with that much velocity and so forth. Gun's working quite smoothly. Normally I'd do a little barrel break in, but I thought, nah, we'll worry about that later. So let's try some others. This is a 285 RCBS cast bullet. Got accurate 9 with this particular load today. Normally I'd recommend 11.1 to up to 11.5 grains of Hodgdon long shot, but today this accurate 5 is more of a mid-range load. It's going about this one's right at 1,975, somewhere right in there. So had to hold up a little front sight to make those hits, so I do need to do a little sight adjustment on that. But we'll do a fuel accuracy test on this and try to get that clipped into the end of the video. So Brian Pierce with the Pierce Brothers, going to update you on John Taffin briefly. He's been through a couple of surgeries. He's currently going through chemo. We're optimistic he's going to come through everything fine. As we're filming this video, it's been a couple months since we did the initial video. Since that time, I've been able to put a fair number of rounds through this Taffin Perfect Packin Pistol. It's proven accurate with both cast and jacketed bullets. It's of course an Ellipses exclusive. Don't forget to order your Branty commemorative holster, number 5 holster as well. Great quality product. So by the time you see this video, this gun will be available from Ellipses. It will be, get your order in as quickly as possible, either through your dealer or directly with Ellipses. Get that order placed and get your gun. This will be, at this point, there's no limited production, but it's not going to be a product that's always available. So you're going to want one of these. It'll be it's a very, very neat gun for a very interesting man.
Okay, look this way. There you go.
John, for the next picture, just pull the coat down a little and
show a little skin, John.
yeah, show a little, pucker your lips a little.
It's a rough crowd, John.
Yeah, tough crowd.
Come on, he's not that important.
He's the one standing here with the 6 gun. I think that'd be a little nicer.
Hand John that.
I will.
Thanks.
I was going to take...
John, okay. Probably needs to go over there.
I was going to take pictures today, but I figured everybody'd be here with a camera.
Yeah.
Did you put the baby Taffin on the back?
Yeah.
Good.
Did y'all see the back of the holster?
Does anybody know?
Month or two, we don't know.
Oh, that's soon?
We don't know
Hold it close.
yet.
That's pretty
So
soon.
don't. It's.
And here you can get the serial number on the gun
Right.
too.
Yeah. So.
Select people will get to know about it.
Yeah.
Hey, we're some of the select.
Come on.
We could set it down on the table or something. Bill might get into it.
Nutshell. And the guitars read.
Well, these carry so comfortably.
Do they?
They really do.
That's so
Now
clean
production,
looking.
Very clean.
not production.
They did a
But
nice
this
job with
first
that.
run, they're all going to be 5.5. Right?
They wanted to make sure, and
I think they're doing them in
I
both.
told these guys
Four-
earlier
four and five
when I
eighths
called
and
them, I
five
said, hey, I
and
want to do this.
Yeah, I want
Ruger
5.5.
said,
Yeah.
I mean, there was no back and forth. They said yes.
You might think about offering some with engraving. I mean,
All
there's
kind of-
nothing to keep it.
All kind of options.
Looks like a blank canvas to me,
Yeah,
John.
that's right. We get more.
Oh, unbelievable. What a bunch of guys to run with. You know, there's two
Probably never get.
categories where you find wonderful people that I know of. Of course, one is in ours, guns. I mean, there's so many wonderful people. And since I've had my surgeries, I've found out there's so many wonderful nurses and people like that. They never complain. They're just wonderful. That has not been in the holster yet, has it?
I don't believe.
So we can do that?
And then why not?
It's yours. You can do whatever you want with it. That's right. I shipped it to Buckhorn, so it's on their books.
That's not going to fall out of there.
That's nice.
Isn't that beautiful? I am so blessed.
Great work. You've blessed all of us, John. Just a little bit more to give back.
Do you notice the American Rifleman had to shoot us?
I saw that, yeah.
If you only had to pick two
All right.
handguns, this would be one, 2 cartridges, and the other one I've got a Blackhawk flat top,
Oh, you're gone, okay.
new model, 357 stainless,
I hope things work
with a
out
9mm cylinder, so
Yeah.
I can fire 38s, 9s,
You can do all of this.
I got everything covered.
When you were asking him about the caliber, when we were here last time, he said, well, both.
Yeah, right, yeah. I said, did you want an ACP? They go, well, both. Never the wrong answer.
You know, people make a big thing out of got to have this caliber, that caliber, or whatever to shoot something. No, it's not the caliber, it's the guy
Right.
and the ammunition.
Well, and as Brian has proven time and time again, these guns will handle everything you
Oh,
want.
yeah.
Especially these little mid
It'll handle more than I can handle.
Yeah, exactly.
For sure.
Cactus, you won't hurt it.
Well,
I won't be able to sleep tonight. And
You just slip
tomorrow
that
I'm
in the
getting a shower. The nurse is coming to give me a shower
bag. You'll have to
tomorrow.
put that in
Oh,
the
man, I'm glad we came today then.
Yeah.
Well, I know you.
I love you, John, but I don't love you that much.
You know what the trigger pull
are they
is?
gonna come free spin or was this done active?
No, Bobby did that.
So are they gonna come
2
with
pounds,
these
9
bags?
ounces.
Wow.
Just the first 3.
You won't see any heavy loads in my hand, but it'll sure
That's why it
shoot a
came
lot
out,
of
and it really wasn't a deliberate thing. We just got it to where it felt perfect.
You know, it'll be interesting to see how the cylinders compare. Because a lot of these that I've tried, both Ruger and Freedom Arms,
And
the ACP cylinder will outshoot the
Yeah.
Colt. That makes no sense.
I know it. All that freebore you
Oh, yeah.
It's funny you say that. When we did the flat top 357 9mm you were talking about earlier,
So we don't know what
we went and we tested those guns. The 9mm shot is good or better than anything to those guns,
Yeah.
which kind of shocked me.
Oh, and then
Oh,
that's 69.
have you got anything done with those flat tops already?
Yeah, I've been so busy doing
Oh, I
everything
know.
else, but yeah, I'm kind of about halfway in the middle of them.
You what?
About halfway into it.
So it's, yeah,
So we're still working on getting these into the production schedule. So once I find out, when, then we'll kind of do an official launch and everything.
I'll probably write something up for Guns American Gun. Should I give them a guesstimate?
Give me a little bit of time just so I can try to get some
By
answers.
the end of the year, maybe?
Oh yeah, I think for sure.
Before the end.
Before the end of the year.
By the time you read this.
Yeah, probably so. But
Cool, good.
I'll get you some more details and everything shortly.
I'd send Mike an email. It's the epitome of handguns.
There you go. I like it.
Yeah. Well, and these Rugers shoot really well. They've done a really good job with their hammer sword
they
barrels, and
They seem to go the extra step with special editions.
yeah.
And just like the flat tops. The new model flat tops, they took extra time with them.
Right.
Those guns
All the ones I've
always
seen.
came out pretty well.
Yeah. Yeah, their barrel stock is really good though. There used to be in the old days the cut rifle barrels. Some were pretty good, some were occasionally lead and just other issues. But these new hammer forged barrels, they're making a really good. Most people don't know this, but after about 3 years that USFA produced single actions, they began using Ruger barrel stock for all their 44s.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
Oh, I miss that company.
I know. I know. And we started talking about guns and cartridges and loads, and a few days later, I see this Chevy Love pull up outside, which I don't know if you're familiar with those. They were tiny pickups. John gets out with this big rifle case and comes in, sets it on the counter, and he's got 13 44 specials in it.
That was John's starter kit.
Yeah. Well, back then, that's all he had of them. But I'd never seen 13 44 specials in one place ever. Things have changed a lot since then. You're fine right there, John.
My hat's messed up.
Oh,
Can't see.
we've had a very good visit here. We've presented John with what's known as the Perfect Packin Pistol. And his is serial number JT number 1. And as you can see, this one is JT number 2. As you can see, they're beautiful Ruger medium frame or Blackhawk 357 frame with a flat top. They're chambered in 45 Colt with an extra cylinder in 45 ACP. They have very high-end custom walnut grips on them. Bobby Tyler of Tyler Gunworks is the one that's fitting those, curing them, stabilizing them, and fitting them to each gun. And really remarkable guns, beautifully fit and finished. John's influence in the industry is incredible. I've known him for more years than I care to admit, but it's been more than 40 years. And we've always shared a great love of good 6 guns, quality leather, cartridges, hand loading, and so forth. We've hunted together, we've traveled together many times. I know John very well. His influence in this industry, I don't think John even knows how much he's influenced this industry in guns, in cartridges, in ammunition. But this is a rare opportunity to own the Perfect Packin Pistol, which is being brought to us by Lipsy's, and Lipsy's is going to make a run of these, first in stainless, and later on possibly in blued finish as well. They'll have 4 5/8 or 5.5 inch barrels, and anyway, it's just a pleasure to be here with John and visit with him again. We wish him the best with his health, and we will be doing additional videos about him and about this gun. So stay tuned on Pierce Brothers, and we'll be shooting these guns and doing more review of them. So thanks for joining us today, and we'll see you next time.